Jean McKenzie is president of American Girl and is also a member of the Mattel Leadership Team, the $6.5 billion leader in the toy industry. Her past executive leadership positions include roles at the Walt Disney Company, Gateway Learning Corporation, and previously leading the Barbie brand for Mattel. Jean is a dedicated member of the Trulaske College of Business Strategic Development Board. Jean, from the outside, your job looks like fun and games, but we know there's much more to it than that, and you worked very hard to get where you are today. What have been some of the key milestones in your journey, and what do you think really prepared you for your current role?
Well, I think the first big milestone was graduating from here, University of Missouri. I was a business school undergrad and was fortunate to land a position with Hallmark Cards in a program called Career Development. So for the next 2 years, I rotated into lots of different assignments, from marketing to advertising to international to purchasing, and it really gave me a foundation that I think served me as well as if I would have gotten an MBA. So that was a big milestone for me. I think the next one was moving to California. I wanted to, I think, find a kind of a bigger horizon, and I was interested in global brands. I was interested in being involved in a business that was much more outside the US, and I wrote a letter to a very senior woman at Mattel Toys and was fortunate enough to get a position on the Barbie brand. And so for a 9-year period, I was involved in a pretty remarkable growth spurt for that brand, and it gave me lessons, I think, that really gave me a view of what it's like to succeed and what it's like to feel you could fail and to have to follow yourself for 9 years. So that was a very big milestone for me. I think a third one was making a decision that I wanted to broaden my view of children and play to really think about how they learn and how, on a broader kind of view, the development of a young child is enhanced by play and is enhanced by learning. And so I was fortunate enough to have an experience both at a private equity-backed company and also a company with very large scale, the Walt Disney Company, in a learning position. So I think those were probably some of the key ones.
Well, those are a very interesting combination of events that happened in the course of your career and have really put you in a position to steward very interesting brands and opened a lot of professional doors that are telling a rather unique story relative to some of your peers, some of the other graduates of the university and the College of Business. One of the brands and one of the companies where you had one of these experiences, Mattel, has a very interesting mission, which is to create the future of play. So could you talk to us about what your role is in implementing that mission, how you see that mission?
Mm-hmm. Mattel's mission to create the future of play is really centered on the child and creating an emotional connection with a very special toy. And that in and of itself creates a memory, something that is indelible. And we want to do that regardless of technology, regardless of trends. It's that long-term memory and connection to a special experience that we believe is really our higher calling, and it's what motivates all of us to want to create and market the very best children's products we can. So for me, that is solidified in my own personal memory of playing with Barbie. And I can still remember the feel of the dream house when I would undo it and it would unfold and I could decide where the den and the bedroom was going to be and get ready for whatever play that day, you know, I was interested in with my dolls. Do you have a memory of a toy?
I loved Barbie too, back in the day, if we can say that. And I also then, on the other side of that, because I was very interested in science in my childhood, had an anatomical doll where you could look at the organs inside. And I liked them both, and actually I would have them play with each other, which is odd, but I know not a typical, you know, the anatomical doll didn't look like Ken. But it was, for me, very much as you described, where it marked a moment for me, and I have tactile memories of getting lost in the conversation that you create for them. And what I think is very interesting about the career path that you've been on and some of the research that we did as we looked into the companies that you've worked with and the type of work that you've been doing is the role of toys, the role of inspiration, if you really want to think about it that way. So as we think about the way in which toys inspire us, in our early childhood and later. Frank Lloyd Wright and the Wright brothers both claim that childhood toys inspired them. John Lasseter of Pixar keeps his collection of toys in his office as constant inspiration. In our educational environment, if you think about our business and what we're trying to accomplish, we always try to think of creative ways to inspire young adults. How do you think toys inspire innovation? How do you think they can create these moments for us as adults and young adults as we engage in higher education?
When I think about the hallmark of a good toy, it's its ability to draw out of the child their own imagination and to craft a path of play that is really self-directed. That is what makes a toy something that a child wants to go to over and over again. There's no 2 days in playing with a toy that are the same if it's a really great toy. So when I think about learning and taking that and transferring it, it seems to me that as we look at students and trying to allow them to self-direct their learning, that the environment and the physical tools as well as the digital tools that we give them could really be interesting to create a sandbox that is for learning and yet it's playful. So that would, I think, be a way that could be interesting.
I want to talk for a second about a different aspect of the opportunity that a toy can create, which is something to look up to, a role model facet of a toy. This is something we see in American Girl, where this helps girls see themselves in something they look up to and in an accessible role model way. How do we inspire young adult learners to find the role model side, that kind of inspiration? What would you suggest to us in that regard?
Well, I certainly agree that American Girl is a way that opens up for young girls to see heroines from the past or girls of today that have qualities of perseverance and courage and the things that if you're too straightforward, it's kind of a turnoff. But inside a compelling story, girls find their own way to identify with those characters. So I think it's similar if we think about students, that you can't force the looking up to a person, but you can feed the knowledge of what some of the role models have to offer and let the student kind of at their own appetite dive in. And I just believe that personal motivation is the key, and tapping into what students are interested in and finding role models that have demonstrated that is sort of part of the magic, is getting them to want to go deeper.
And creating that hidden motivation. We like to make them think it was their idea,
right,
after all. How would you describe American Girl's cause, and how does it create the uncommon value that I heard you reference in your remarks a few years ago?
American Girl is a brand that certainly has a cause, and that cause or mission is to build girls of strong character. It's something that we hold very dear. And in leading up to and providing the kind of experiences that build girls of strong character, we provide uncommon value, because when moms watch their daughters, they're not just playing out a story, they're actually learning about it, thinking about it. What does it mean if you're a girl and you're facing social problems in your classroom, or if you're facing that for the first time you're not getting A's all the time and you need some courage and some perseverance or some, self-confidence. So I think that American Girl, by holding ourselves to this promise of building girls of strong character, we really do create uncommon value for the girls and for their families.
That's an incredible goal, really, and as the mother of a daughter, something that I really like to hear. As a consumer, I like to hear that the blending of that goal with the experience of being a customer of a product that I enjoy. I want to talk about the experience as well, since that's also, I think, very unique, an uncommon aspect of the company and the mission. In the past, I've heard you say that experiences really are the holy grail, and many experts look to American Girl stores as being just that in an otherwise very volatile retail environment. How do you think retail design can learn from what American Girl has created in their retail experience?
Well, first and foremost with American Girl, the experience is it's with a mother and sometimes a grandmother and an aunt. It's a multi-generational experience for the girl. And that social environment is something that in a retail space you can create. It isn't something that over the internet or on a tablet you can get. So for American Girl, we really look to create experiences that bond generations of girls and females together. But in general, I think that the retail environment today is not really conducive for having fun. And I think retailers need to and can offer you and consumers something special if they think about what is it with the brand that could be experienced in a way that could include more of a social experience and one that would create a memory. I go back to really wanting to hold something emotional that's lasting with a consumer. And with the American Girl brand, we feel like the experiences that we create for a 9-year-old and her mother and her aunt and her grandmother are ones that really will sort of last on through her whole life.
I've been in the store and not only been happy to enjoy that experience, but also am very heartwarmed when you see other families or girls having a birthday party or bonding with their peers, having this shared experience, doll in their arm, member of the family. It really is remarkable and one of a kind type of thing to see. And your sales are rising. So I congratulate you on that because it's clearly working. But there's also a trend happening at the same time in technology. And there's a very strong prediction, if we could say that the future of toys is entirely grounded in technology, something you referred to earlier. How are you approaching this observation prediction in terms of your own business model?
Well, if I come from the Mattel perspective, we have and continue to have the strongest global brands in the world, from Barbie, Hot Wheels, Fisher-Price, and American Girl. So I think the proof is really in our ability to continue to integrate new ways that make the play more fun, make the play more engaging. Sometimes that requires technology. In the case of American Girl, over the last 5 years, we've done a lot of things to integrate technology, but it's not because that's what we're focused on for the experience. It's enabling us to do something. For example, in American Girl, we have over 50 different sort of looks of a doll that a girl can choose from. And when you go on a website today, a girl can choose the eye color, the hair color, the glasses, the freckles, the things that make that doll special for her. Well, without technology, we couldn't do that, but it's invisible to the little girl. So I think the magic really comes in technology enabling us to give children things that without it we couldn't, but to make the play their own and not to be sort of technology forward, but to be more technology enabled.
I see. That's an interesting approach. And it really does seem to tie into the origins of American Girl and what was originally intended to be accomplished by your founder, who had a wonderful nickname for the approach of the company, which was chocolate cake and vitamins, which I love that. I mean, I've never heard of anything so direct and visual and yet very clear in explaining the philosophy. So could you explain what that quote means to you and how we could apply it to the broader discussion of how we want to inspire our college-age students?
Pleasant was brilliant in her belief that girls really would value a high quality doll, one that had authenticity and one that had a level of detail and beauty. But she was also very centered in providing inside that chocolate cake nourishment, vitamins, and that came through the pages in the books, the stories that told of girls from 1920 to the era of 1950 all the way back to the 1800s, and allowing girls to compare and contrast things of girlhood that really would be relevant for them. So the vitamins and that nourishment that comes from the pages in the books is something that girls consume. It isn't something that you build the chocolate cake and you put the vitamins on top. So I think when we think about education, we really need to be holistic in that there is a daily consumption of the nourishment or the enrichment. We're not doing a path of fun stuff and then, oh, here's the boring learning. It has to be integrated, and I think that the vitamins in the chocolate cake live on today because of the way that we continue to nourish girls, and I think that's the aspiration for education.
You think that's translatable in higher education as well, that integration?
I do. I think that the things that I've been seeing here at the university in building more interactive learning experiences, simulated experiences, real life experiences, so that students are engaging not with textbooks and lectures in isolation. They are acting and doing and constructing the learning as they go. That is the way that it all comes together, I think, in the personal motivation and the outcome to be the very best.
As we think about the learning experience that you offer to your customers and their families, and we offer to our students, we think a lot about American girls too, because we think they're likely to lead our future workforce. What are you hoping that they believe? What are you hoping that they're equipped with when they enter the workforce?
It's a very good question, and I think for young girls and students today entering the workforce, the most important thing is to understand your own dreams, to be anchored in what your aspirations are, and to be able to overcome the obstacles that are going to inevitably get in your path. So that sense of knowing what you want and feeling confident is the thing that I would want the most.
I would want that too, for myself still, as we continue to make choices. So let me flip it a little bit, and we're the parents of college-age children, so I know we think about this from multiple points of view. When we think about what students should be doing in this environment, what do you think a student should do with the opportunity and education offers to be ready for this challenging world that they're going to be entering?
To me, the most important thing is to take initiative. When you're in college, you have this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to do things that once you are on a path and you have a family and all those things, you may not be able to make that choice. So I think that having the initiative to decide that you want to do study abroad, having the initiative that you want to do an internship in a city that you've never been to before, having the courage to cold call on companies, those are the things that I think will make a huge difference if during the experience while you're in college you find your voice and figure out a way to take the initiative and go after. It will serve students really well once they are in the quote-unquote real world.
I think so too, and I think it's nice when they can find a role model from their alumni peers who's done exactly that. So we're really grateful to you for sharing your story with us, for having such an interesting story, for letting us ask you how we can use your experiences and the companies that you've managed to help us be better at getting this next generation ready. So thank you very much, and go Tigers.
Thank you. Go Tigers too.
Yes, yes.